So usually where we go when we're wanting to explain the gospel and train in the gospel is certain methods. And while those are helpful, what ends up happening is we learn these methods well, and then we present them to people as presentations. The problem is when I'm a human being and we're in a conversation, I'm not really prepared to listen to a presentation. I want to be heard and listened to, and I want to be able to have a conversation with you. And that's where gospel fluency comes in. That changes the game a little bit, because it's not just presenting something to someone, but being able to share the gospel within a conversation. When you think of fluency, it just means that you don't really have to think about it to be able to do it. When I try to think of Spanish, it takes me a while, or I just have no idea what I'm going to do. But as I'm talking to you now, it's just natural. It's coming to me. So how do we get to a place with the gospel where we're fluent in it enough to incorporate it into conversations, incorporate it into my own life, the way that I talk to myself? So where I want to start with is just learning what the gospel story is in a simple way where I could explain it in about 20 seconds, or if I have more time and opportunity, that I could explain it in 20 minutes. And so let's look at that. So what is the gospel? Let me give you a way to think about it. 4 people making 4 decisions: God, mankind, Jesus, and me. Jim is what our young adults have called it. So God makes the decision to create. Mankind makes the decision to distrust God, bringing all kinds of difficulties. Jesus made the decision to come, to die on a cross, and to be raised from the grave. And me, I chose to trust in Jesus, to repent and give him my life, and he's saving me. So the gospel can be shared in 20 seconds or in 20 minutes. God created all things, and he did so with love. Actually, he is love. And he created us to have a love relationship with him, one built on trust. But as God gave commands, we chose to distrust him. And when we distrusted him, it brought separation, it brought brokenness in community. We were hurt, and we wanted to get away from that brokenness. But the more we tried to get away, instead of choosing to turn toward God, we tried all sorts of other things, and they never brought back wholeness. They didn't fix the separation because they didn't fix the problem, that we distrust God, and because we distrust him, we sin against him and against one another. But in steps Jesus. Jesus comes, he is sinless, he's teaching and preaching and performing miracles. He's loving people, he's making disciples, and then he claims to be God, and so he's put to death for blasphemy, but he's put to death to take away the problem, to take our sin upon himself, to also take upon the wrath of God that is justly upon us. But he didn't stay dead. He rose from the grave with all victory and all power. And I have chosen to put my trust in Jesus because of what he's done. I was separated from God, but Jesus brought me back to God. He brought reconciliation. And so I have community with God. Do you have peace and community with God? One of the most important things when we get to share the gospel with someone is that we give them an opportunity to respond. And I hope as you use this tool that you will become more fluent with the gospel. That when the neighbor is having a hard time with their marriage, or the coworker is struggling with their kid, that we are able to speak Jesus in a natural way. And so I encourage you to practice the gospel, not as a presentation, but as a story that will capture your heart and mind, so that you can use it to help other people, that they would be saved, that they would trust in Jesus and repent.